and again. I know in the modern game it's different. It's not how it works. Players come in, players come out. Absolutely. You got to move with the times. But for me, Rogic is one of these guys with immense talent, and I just want to see him play game after game after game. Same with Encham. Bring him in, play him game after game after game, as much as you can. You can't do it all the time. With the amount of games that we've got at Celtic Park, it's impossible. You can't play every single game. You're playing 3 games a week and all that. So, do we need another midfielder? I think we might, if Armstrong is for the off, which he might be. So we'll see. I don't know about that one. We'll put that. We'll park that one for just now. I'd like to see an understudy to Scott Brown, which is another point I want to bring up. Scott Brown needs a clear understudy now. You know, Bruni is so important at the club. He's so important at these sorts of games. He drives the team forward. He picks people up by their collars. He boots them up the arse. I mean, we need that so much at Celtic because there are players who switch off. And Bruni's great. You know, people respond to him. He's a great captain. I love Scott Brown, I really do. And I think that he needs a clear understudy in that particular role. We need someone who, when he moves on, that's who's going to fill the space. Now, Kieran Tierney is going to be an amazing future Celtic captain when he stays at the club, and I still think there's every chance that will happen. But he doesn't play in Scott Brown's position, so I'm talking in terms of midfield, not in terms of captains, in terms of that type of player. So that's interesting. I think that what we're looking at here is really key positions, and central defence comes first. Midfielders are possible. Scott Brown should have a clear understudy in his position. And on the wings, I mean, you look at Sinclair and the way he's been performing this season. I really think he needs a bit of pressure put on him when he'll perform again. I'm not concerned about that. I really am not that concerned about Sinclair. I think that he will come good. I think he needs someone to just light a fire under his arse, bench him for a while and sort out whatever issues he has. I don't know what issues he's got, but he's not performing, so I don't know. Brendan will be able to sort him out, I've got no doubts. I don't think we need any signings in his position, that's for sure. But you know, it leads us into the wings and Patrick Roberts, and Paddy's not been performing. He has been injured and he's not back at it. I think he may come good at the end of the season, but he's not our player. He's going to leave Celtic. And we're very lucky that James Forrest has done so well this season, and that's a point I was going to make later on in the podcast. Thank God for James Forrest's form this season has picked up. Now, we've criticised James Forrest in the past, as we must do, being a Celtic media platform or outlet or whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, when you're not playing well, that's what happens. And that's what fans do. They'll get on your back if you're not playing well. It usually comes from the fact that we love the club and we love the player and we want to see them do well, and it's frustration. It never comes from a place of nastiness. Not with us anyway. It always comes from the want to do better and that we want the club to do as well as they can. So that's all that is. There's nothing more to it than that. But thankfully James Forrest has been doing well on that right, and he's put in some fantastic performances this season. But in terms of transfers, guys, I think that's what we need to look at. Personally, I'd like to see, if we're not going to do anything in January, and the club has a habit of doing nothing in January, please sign a centre back, right? Just one solid centre back at least. And when we get to the end of the season, I'm sure Brendan Rodgers might say, right, sorry, but you're done, out, and he might bring in a good few players. Dembele, again, there's been a lot of speculation around him. He'll make it to the end of the season and he may move on, but the boy's injury prone and he really needs to get a run of games under his belt and start scoring back-to-back games. Edward is a fantastic talent, and Griffiths, I was surprised that he didn't get the nod in for the Anderlecht game, but again, maybe there's some issues there, maybe there's something going on behind the scenes, we don't know. Edward certainly earned his slot after that Motherwell game, which is a segue into the Motherwell games. I just wanted to talk about transfers, guys, and wanted to talk about where we're at coming into January, because it is getting close, and I do think that the Anderlecht game has put the spotlight on the club and on the board and on the manager, as it should do. And it says to the fans, that's not good enough. There's players there in the squad that can cut it at this level, and we may need to move some of them on. And if that's the case, we should sign them in January. Don't sign them 3 or 4 weeks before the European qualifiers, because that's not long enough. Sign them with plenty of time to get them into the squad, to give them the training that they need, to get them embedded in Glasgow, to get them embedded with their teammates, so that by the time the qualifiers come around, we've got a team that know each other, and January is critical for me. Shall we see it? Who knows? That's pretty much everything I had off the back of the Anderlecht game. I mean, I think Brendan Rodgers has reached an interesting point in his career at Celtic. He's got some decisions to make. He's got decisions to make. Who's leaving? How's he going to shape the squad? He's been at the club now with a team that hasn't really been his for a while, and now he needs to make a few decisions. I think the board have got some decisions to make, and January is going to be a critical window, and it's something I wanted to bring up with Yompi. He's not here. I wish he was here because I know he would jump on the back of this. But the board, for me, have to support Brendan, give him what he wants to build a squad capable of doing whatever it is they want to do, whether that's Europa or Champions League, because right now we've got neither of those. I think the club do very, very well with what they have. I think Brendan does well with what he has, but I don't think it's sufficient. Simply put, that's all I want to see. I just want to see an improvement in the squad. So that will do us for feedback after the Anderlecht game and where I see things going forward. Going into what happened with Motherwell now, it was very interesting. Celtic had 3 games against a side that we also played in the League Cup final, and that, I don't know if that's ever happened before. You can correct me if I'm wrong. People out there on Twitter land, I'm sure you'll send me the tweet and say it has happened before. I can't remember the last time we had 3 games back to back, and one of the games was a League Cup final. It's absolutely crazy. But 3 games against Motherwell, and controversy, absolutely, and we'll get into that in a minute. Let's talk about the final straight off the bat, because that's obviously the most important game. I mean, all the league games are important to us, but the final was the penultimate game. And yep, I think once again we've got to talk about James Forrest in the final. Fantastic, stand out. He's on great form at the moment. We've got to mention him this season. He's filled in on that right hand side. He's doing very, very well. I thought the whole squad played well, with the exception of a couple of guys we've already talked about, Sinclair and Armstrong. They just weren't at it. McGregor was okay, and DeBelly was pretty quiet in the game, but overall that was a good performance. Look, we'll talk about the penalty. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a soft penalty, but you can't give the referee a decision to make. If you're going to give one of those referees a decision to make, he's going to fuck it up, and that's exactly what happened. My poor dad, the Motherwell supporter, was beeling after it, and I said to him, Dad, look, you can't give these guys decisions to make because they'll fuck it up. They've done it against Celtic umpteen times. How many times have we seen it? Seasons past, Thompson and fucking Gollum messing it up. So, yeah, Sinclair, he did seem to go down a bit, but there was contact in the box. He did grab him, and that's the game, man. You know what I mean? If you're going to make that sort of contact, there's a high chance you're going to get a penalty awarded, and that's exactly what happened. The other thing that Motherwell supporters who are raging about that need to remember is we were actually a goal up. I don't know if that maybe has any bearing on it, but we actually had scored an excellent goal through the aforementioned young talent James Forrest. So just a moot point. I mean, just a side point, but we were actually already winning the game when we got the penalty. So I don't know if that has any bearing. But good game. I don't think Motherwell really threatened in it. I don't think they really showed any. Okay, Malt had a chance and stuff, but I don't know. I just didn't see Motherwell winning any of those games. Anyway, I felt sorry for Motherwell in a way. They did come out, they did play well, and look, one of the most informed teams in Scottish football at the moment, outside of maybe Aberdeen and recently I've got to say it's Sevco, because they have been playing a wee bit better of late, but and Hibs. Let's mention Hibs before we mention Sebco. But Motherwell have been one of the more informed teams in Scotland of late, and going into those games I thought it's going to be difficult, and going into the final I flipped and flopped in the last podcast. I was like, we'll roll them over. No, it's going to be a tight game. So I was sure we were going to win, but I didn't know how much. I thought it would be maybe 2-3-0 or something like that, maybe 3-1, something like that, and that's how it turned out, 2-0 on the day. And I think the better team deserves to win, and it's another trophy. Brendan Rodgers equals Jock Stein's record for 4 successive trophies, and it's just another notch on the way to a second back-to-back treble, which is, a to the back-to-back trebles, or the second treble. Fantastic to see us lifting cups again this season, and long may it continue, because it's brilliant, and I don't care if it's the League Cup or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's a cup, and I love seeing Celtic lift every cup, because I remember when we were lifting fucking none of them. So it was fantastic. I wish I could have celebrated that day, but I live upside down here in the other part of the world, so I couldn't really get onto the celebrations. But it was brilliant, great day, and well deserved. So well done, Celtic, for lifting that trophy. Congratulations, albeit belated, here on Armchair Ultras. The 1-1 game, again, a very hard fought game. Motherwell were very organised. I don't think they really were going to threaten us, or they weren't creating much in terms of chances. KT was quite lively in that game, I noted. Again, the squad were playing well. I don't think we really, it was one of those games where I knew it was going to be tough at Motherwell's ground. I always get Firhill and Fir Park mixed up. My dad would kill me, because I've been to that ground a good few times. But we knew it was going to be a tough game, playing away, and it was a tough game. And again, the controversy we've got to talk about is yet another penalty going against Motherwell. This time, Willie Collum awarding a penalty for a foul in the box against Callum McGregor, and this one I actually think it was a penalty. I mean, the young boy really had no business doing that. There was no goal threat, and McGregor got himself into a good position, and he was slightly off balance. If you look at where McGregor was positioned, like the way he was kind of standing, it was fairly easy to see him, getting knocked to his feet, and the boy there was contact, he did come in, and yeah, it looked like he went down easily, but when you're balancing yourself, when you're trying to, put all your weight onto one foot, or you're in a certain position, it is easy to knock someone down, and if you do that, it's a penalty. So again, Motherwell fans were going mental, and we had all the crap with stuff getting thrown on the pitch and all that carry on, and it's just, that's the way it goes. I put a post up saying, are you salty? It's tough. Life's tough in the SPFL. And a picture of some guy pulling out a bucket of salt, and that's it. We've had it plenty of times at Celtic. We have had it season after season. Referees giving us nothing, going against us, and it happens. And you can't blame our squad, you can't blame our club for a poor refereeing decision. It's nothing to do with us. It's not the unseen Fenian hand or any of that shite. This is just a fucking idiot of a referee, and we've got some terrible referees in Scotland. They're absolutely shite, and they've proven that on the world stage, the European stage. They're atrocious, and unless something changes, unless these guys get retrained, or the SFA get their finger out and look at it, or the SPFL, Reagan and Doncaster. Aye, enough said, eh? Moving on. Anyway, look, my dad's a Motherwell supporter. He was sending me some fairly salty texts during those games, but at the end of it he said, look, I guess it's a fair result. We didn't look as if we were going to score, so hats off to you, Dad. My dad's a wee bit sick at the moment, so get well soon, Dad. He's going to come out and see me here in New Zealand soon, so just a wee get well to him if he's listening, Dad. Sorry about the final. But get well, Dad, and look, don't blame us for the shitey refs. It's not our fault. The 5-1 game. I guess we'll talk about the 5-1 game. Like, for me, the standout for the 5-1 game was Edouard. What an amazing young talent that young boy is, from PSG. On loan, I think we have the option to buy. I believe it's a hefty sum, though. I think it's circa 10 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there are people on Twitter who will correct me. But yes, I do believe that we've got an option to buy him at a fairly high price. And personally, if he performs like he did in the 5-1 game against Motherwell, I'd be dipping into my pocket. Fucking know what I'm saying. It's fucking that boy. That hat-trick, he's got talent, man. He can hit a shot, he's got pace, he can move the ball. If he plays like that, he's going to rip through teams. I mean, Dembele Mark 2, possibly. I mean, imagine we played him and Dembele up front. Oh my God. Fucking hell, man. Not that we play two up front, which personally